I think it's almost unfair to compare CHROMAKOPIA to all of Tyler's other releases, because right from the get-go we knew this was going to be something completely different. I mean, he made the conscious effort to make this album stand out from whatever else was dropping around that time. An unconventional release schedule, just straight up getting to the point and being like, yo, the album's going to be here in a few days. It was all just very much, this is going to be its own thing and it should be in its own space. And to his credit, I mean, you can see the album has benefited probably much better off by doing this rather than conforming to, you know, the norms about dropping on a Friday and having like a really drawn out rollout with singles coming out every few weeks before the album. He's done incredible numbers with this, and it's kind of really interesting to see, as it almost kind of proves his point about kind of breaking the norm and his idea of dropping early kind of right. And especially for me listening to this as well, I do actually kind of feel like I was still involved in the hype even on a Monday, and I feel like I've had a lot of time to evolve and listen to the album, and now we're getting to the end of the week. I feel like I've really actually digested it over the week. So I actually think he was kind of partially right with this release thing. But we got to talk about, like, even just before the music, we have to talk about this interesting album cover and how much the aesthetic of this album is just on point. And to be honest, he's always had great characterizations and album aesthetics throughout all his works, but I feel like this one is just super striking and really interesting. And I'm sure you all saw like different theories online about what this character or the name and the title and the theming of the album was going to be right before it dropped. And to be honest, I bought into these. Okay, I bought into these album theories. I was like, yep, not that this is going to make the album less exciting or any less fun or good to listen to, but when I was reading these theories, I was like, damn, this is a kind of seeming a bit too on the, like, it just seems like it lines up so well, like even to the way that it might sound just from the few snippets and trailers we got. I will admit I did stop listening to the singles as they were coming out because the album was coming out so soon. I was like, I just want to listen to it all in one go. I feel like the whole aesthetic of this album is so just interesting and kind of captivating that you kind of are just drawn to it. And I feel like I'm so happy to see that there's still an artist in this generation that is putting as much care and effort into album aesthetic and rollouts and just themings and stuff, and making you want to like immerse yourself in the sound and world, such as Tyler the Creator. He's wearing this mask and he kind of like is in this almost war general outfit. It seems like it could have been taken back in like the 1940s, this poster, this picture, right? And his mask is kind of in the shape of his face, but it almost looks a little exaggerated. So there's this uncanny element to it, and you can't really make out what expression he's making, but the pose of the hand is like some Street Fighter M. Bison pose. Like he's kind of posted up like a fighting game character, low-key. But no, in all seriousness, if I had to say something, it looks kind of like concentrating, or the like almost yearning for something, like something's in the distance that he really wants to get, but it's also kind of evil at the same time. I don't know, it's a really interesting picture. And speaking of the sound, the moment you get into this with Saint Chroma, man, war chants, it feels like you're on a battlefield, and he raps or whispers something really interesting on track 1. I mean, CHROMAKOPIA straight away starts off a bit eerie and a bit dark, but the more Tyler keeps whispering and rapping, you can tell that he's actually talking about his fire and his passion, you know, the desire to make it, become a big star, and that he always knew he was different and destined to this. And as the track progresses, actually you kind of get a more feel for how explosive, almost triumphant these lyrics are. But as you get to the end, he's got a few lines in there that kind of allude to him basically being like, yo man, I don't even know what I'm doing anymore. Should I just wrap this up? Like, is it done? And so at the end of this, my first impression was like, oh, okay, this is actually surprisingly more upbeat and not as dark and depressing as I thought it was gonna be. And though the album does tackle some very dark and depressing themes throughout, I kind of quickly realized this isn't what I expected. And the next track almost straight away confirmed it. Ratata is just a banger. It's a straight up Tyler the Creator in your face anthem, and if you're familiar with a lot of his like upbeat, more abrasive music, you're gonna be really happy to hear this, because I know I was grinning while listening to this on the train. I was going crazy. I was like, yo, this guy is snapping. It's a fun upbeat anthem basically saying like no one can fuck with him. If you're familiar with Tyler and stuff, you're gonna like this. And instantly you think, well, how does this really tie into the theme? I mean, it's just unfiltered Tyler the Creator, and it isn't until something that happened on the first track reoccurs on the next one, you kind of notice a subtle theme going on with this album. Instantly we go from feeling on top, flexing, to having this insane sense of paranoia. The whole song is just about feeling paranoid and kind of almost not knowing what to do with yourself and how people are acting around you. In the sound and the way he presents it, it's just really interesting because it's just very stilted. You got those like guitar riffs going on, very self-aware now. Like, it's a very self-aware track about paranoia. Listen, darling, this gonna be one of those songs that I'm gonna play in years to come and talk to like my grandkids or like the future generations and be like, what y'all know about Tyler? What y'all know about that Tyler the Creator? Easily gonna be one of my favorite songs of this year. This song is beautiful sounding. It's beautiful sounding. So similar to the first track, we have a woman basically kind of talking and narrating, basically saying, oh, don't you ever tell no bitch you love her. Don't. And she was in the first track as well. I'm not sure if this is kind of meant to emulate Tyler's mum. When these little audio clips are at the track, it kind of signifies the ones that are going to be very related to the heavier stuff on the album, whereas the other ones like Ratata that don't really have this kind of extract in it, they kind of don't fall in line with this. It'll be the same with some other tracks later down. You'll see what I'm trying to say. Confliction is like the key thing about the track, because it's upbeat, it feels so good, it's got such a good groove, the chords, the singing, the Tizo. They got the Tizo touchdown feature, and I mean, this guy is getting goated when it comes to features, because whenever I hear Tizo just singing the way he sings, like, oh my days, Tizo's got an amazing voice. Please stream Tizo's music, like, keep going, man. We need Tizo out here, man. And it's not too overbearing, and he's just there in the background, kind of like riffing, doing his thing on the mic, and it just elevates it. Like, he's so perfect on this song. But anyway, the chorus is about, darling, I've fallen in love, but obviously he's been told not to tell everyone he's been falling in love. So the whole verse is about kind of him running away from love and messing around with people he thought he was in love with and telling them that, you know, oh, nah, I'm too good for this, blah, 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 I'm not in love. But yet the chorus is very contradictory about it. So it screams confusion, because at the end of the day, he just doesn't know. He's been told, don't tell people you love them, but then he thinks he's falling in love with people, and then he realizes, oh, maybe I'm not in love with them. So it's a huge confliction of a track, but it's a beautiful song, and like, it actually is quite personal to him. Like he's talking about, you know, his situation, so it just feels very personal. And like the fact that he was able to illustrate this and put it down in such a way that's kind of catchy, and you can feel the conflict in the lyrics and the hook. It's great writing. And to riff off the last one about not telling people they love you, the voice comes in again to say, and always wear a condom, don't trust. And then we get straight into Hey Jane, which is, ooh, this was an interesting one. And then here we just go deeper and explore Tyler's relationship with a woman who he ended up getting pregnant. And this is something that, once I got to the end of the track, reminded me of the track Lost Ones by J. Cole, which kind of also tackles the male and the female perspective on such a big thing such as a child, and especially a child with someone you're not even sure that you want to have it with. It's such a heavy topic and burden on both parties, and obviously he tackles that by starting off by addressing Jane, which is the one we can assume he got pregnant, and just kind of detailing how paranoid he feels. And he essentially starts off by saying, hey, look, you're a great person, complimenting them, and then instantly it's like, but I'm gonna be real, I'm terrified of having a kid. I don't even know if I want a kid. Continues going, and these are like some real stream of conscious thoughts that you're just getting from Tyler over this kind of like very smooth, kind of wheezy, hypnotic beat. It's very subtle, and it definitely wants you to kind of follow the story. This is definitely like a story track. And straight away, verse 2, we're in Jane's perspective. We're listening to Tyler the Creator's, assumably, is his real experience and this conversation he's had with this girl, and it's like such a crazy thing because I mean, some people didn't know he had a kid. I didn't. I'm not really that tapped into Tyler like life like that, but it's just crazy to hear him actually just be so open and vivid about it. And the whole thing of Chromakopia, the masks, the military aesthetic, it's almost all working as a facade to distract you from what this album actually is trying to achieve, and that is just to be a complete blank slate and almost like a therapy session just to get 100% Tyler. Like this album Tyler just wanted to put his heart and soul into this. He wanted you to know all of his darkest experience and get a lot off his chest, but because it's almost that internal battle, it's dressed up as like this big war, this big battle that he's fighting. That's kind of what plays into the aesthetic. And then the mask, it's almost like he has to cover himself up while he does this. He has to perform, he has to be a leader, he has to do all this stuff. All of this builds into Chromakopia. It's what makes this album unique. And as you get to this track, you realize, wait a minute, this is not what it looks like. This is not what I expected it to sound like, but that was almost the point. It is the theatrics of it. It is this grandness of it, but at heart, this is a very grounded and personal album. And I think that over the years we've kind of got them in space, but it's really cool to see like loads of other artists start tackling stuff like this. You know, recently we had the biggest one was Mr. Around the Big Steppers with Kendrick, Melt My Eyes, See Your Future with Denzel Curry, and even before then, like years before, Silver McHugh with Apologies in Advance was an album like this. It's just interesting to see Tyler do it in a very Tyler way, a very creative way, almost always trying to subvert you from what's actually going on, but being so plain and honest and straightforward with it. It's really cool. I Killed You and Judge Judy are two other like personal experiences that Tyler's had. I Killed You was all about, I guess, his hair, his attachment to his hair, and him having to like face social norms and cut it off. Judge Judy, I can see this one being not many people's favorites, but I can tell you I actually really liked it. It kind of has a playful old indie vibe. The way he sings it is very melodic in like an old school way, but he basically just talks about this girl or this woman that he used to mess around with and passed away from cancer, which is quite dark and quite sad, but at the same time it was a reminder at the end to Tyler that that person just said thank you for not judging me and just taking me as I was and accepting me. So actually it's this weird fling story that actually ends up about acceptance, which kind of bounces back on a theme from I Killed You, which was about also accepting black hair. I remember sitting on the train and being like, listening to Sticky, and it just, the best way I can describe this song is like not hopscotch, what's the other one, like jump rope skipping, you know, those ones where like you like do chants and then someone different will go in the middle, do like a little spin or a little turn and then jump out. That's what Sticky is. Okay, you got like Glorilla, Sexy Red, Lil Wayne all on the same track, just hopping in for like a few bars, just spitting and then dipping out. It's a really fun track. It's really upbeat. It's an anthem. It just really wants to be fun and just kind of have its own thing going on. And I think again, there's no like woman at the start of the track kind of guiding us or telling us, kind of hinting about what narratively this track's going to be about. It just kind of gets into it. I cannot wait. I need to see this guy live. Okay, I need to see Tyler live, because honestly the way this album is set up, it's just so theatrical. I can only imagine how good this is going to sound. And speaking about the sound of the album, it's actually a bit more softer and mellow than probably a lot of people were expecting, so maybe that's where it might disappoint some people. But I think generally speaking, there's so many pretty build-ups, like in the part in Tomorrow, where it almost sounds like you got some old like Radiohead eerie chords going on and guitar riffs, and it kind of builds up. I think generally speaking, and then even on Balloon, it's this weirdly triumphant, goofy, kooky, just mesh of sounds that Doechii just kind of comes in and rips it, and Tyler also rips it. You've got so much of that. I also think that Tyler is really just super entertaining on this album. He's got so many quotes, like when he was just like 7 a.m. I wake up and I'm hating on shit, 10 a.m. I'm still hating on shit. Like, he's just got so many witty moments, and he's like, all these women, like, he just finds a way to always show his personality, because he's a funny guy. He's a guy that definitely has a personality, and overall he's just gonna keep you entertained. Like, if you just want to like listen to him articulate himself, you're gonna be entertained. There's so many quotables as well. I mean, the track about him coming to accept his father, where he recites, "Mama, I'm chasing a ghost, I don't know who he is. Mama, I'm chasing a ghost, I don't know where he is. Mama, I'm chasing a ghost." I mean, to articulate that as almost yearning for a father figure in life, like, what, that is crazy good, right? Like, honestly, when I heard that, I was like, I didn't even think about it until I read the lyrics back, and I was like, that is crazy good stuff, Tyler. All in all, I feel like CHROMAKOPIA's hidden message wasn't hidden at all. In fact, it was right in front of our faces the whole time, especially when it came to the music. I think Tyler really just wanted to be himself and share some really dark and, you know, true experiences to his life. And I think no matter what he was talking about, I feel like there was a sort of silver lining, or a sort of unique takeaway, or a nice message to take away from things, whether it was his experience with cutting his hair, or his fling he had with a dying cancer sufferer, and that just turning into this message about acceptance. I think there was something there for a lot of aspects in life. Even the moment of "Take Your Mask Off," which is almost a direct call out to the album cover and branding. He has this like almost uncomfortable conversation with all these people that are doing these unholy and sinful things, like the preacher being gay or something like that, and having a fling with boys, or this woman not settling in a really bad relationship and putting on the front. But then it ends with him almost addressing himself uncomfortably and talking about himself in a kind of a diminishing way, but telling himself, you need to take the mask off, you need to be real. And I think that for that reason, it's kind of an album that's really gonna resonate with a lot of people, maybe over time, because this kind of wave of rappers that are like getting into this stage in their career and making these kind of real albums it's interesting, because I don't think we've really had stuff like this happen before. And I kind of like that musically it's very mature, and that it's actually music that is built to connect with people. Musically it sounds great. There's bops, there's fun moments, there's sad moments, there's truthful moments, there's uncomfortable moments, but at the end of the day, it feels very real. So that's basically my takeaway at CHROMAKOPIA. I hope you guys enjoyed me yapping about this album. I'm really into it. If I had to give it a score out of 10, I'd probably maybe give it like a 9, to be honest. I think this is probably my favorite album that's come out this year, and I think this is, again, we got to have that conversation about Tyler, because we're lucky to have him.